Alright everyone, welcome back to another video, and today what I have for everyone is my full review of the Samsung Galaxy A54 5G. Now, I've been using this device for a good amount of time, and I feel like I've gathered all my thoughts and opinions on it, and that's what I'm going to share with everyone today in this full review. So hopefully by the end of this video, you guys and gals know if this device is worth picking up. Alright, so without further ado, let's jump into the video. Let's go. Now, starting off here, the first thing I want to talk about with everyone is the overall build quality and design of the device, right? So in terms of the build quality, right, Samsung has built this device out of a combination of glass and plastic, okay? So we have Gorilla Glass 5 on the back, and we have Gorilla Glass 5 on the front, right? And then everything is held together with a plastic mid-frame, right? So that's what we have here in terms of the build, right? A plastic and glass combination build, right? So in particular, our buttons are plastic and our mid-frame is plastic, and then the front of the device is glass and the back of the device is glass. And what does that do in terms of the build quality? That saves on cost, number one, but it also means that the device has a very nice, lightweight, and a very nice feel in hand. So overall, this device is very lightweight and balanced, and it does feel really good in the hands when you don't rock it with a case. Alright, so in terms of the overall build quality, in my opinion, Samsung has done a top-notch job. Talking about the overall design, I do feel as though Samsung has done a great job with this design as well. This basically looks just like their flagship lineup of devices. I do like this overall look, even though it is a fingerprint magnet. I do like how this device looks. So in terms of the overall design, I have to say again, Samsung has done a top-notch job here. So in terms of the build quality and design on the whole, it is top-notch in my opinion. Alright, top-notch indeed. Okay? Up next now, let's talk about this display. Alright? And in terms of the display, what we have here is a 6.4 inch Super AMOLED 1080p HDR10 plus 120 hertz display. Alright, Gorilla Glass 5 display. In particular, it has a resolution of 1080p by 2340 and an aspect ratio of 19.5 by 9. Alright, so we do have that little bit of a stretched aspect ratio, and it has a screen density of 403 pixels per inch. So for everyone that wanted to know the technical specifications, there you guys and gals have it in terms of this display. Now, talking about this display from a day-to-day usage standpoint, I have to say it has been phenomenal, and I haven't had any issues. Indoors, you can see I keep it right about here at about 40%, and in outdoors, I do have to max it out at about max 100%. But outdoors, using it in direct sunlight, I haven't had any issues. And indoors, this display has been phenomenal. Okay? Phenomenal. And as a matter of fact, let me give y'all a better look at this display. Let me play something so y'all can see just how good this display looks. So let me pull up this YouTube video that I was checking out earlier, and let's push play on this. And then check this out, man. Look at how nice this display is. Okay? That's a really, really good looking display. Okay? Watching content, anything that I was doing in terms of the display aspects, it was beautiful. Didn't have any issues in terms of the display. Alright? Just wanted to show y'all that. right? So, in terms of the display, in my opinion, Samsung has done a top-notch job here. Top-notch indeed. Now, let's move on and talk about some of the hardware and the software aspects of this device right here. Let's start off with the hardware first. Now, in terms of the hardware, this particular device comes in two variations. Okay, in terms of the RAM and storage, you can get the base variation, which has 6 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. Both variations have micro SD card expansion, and you can make it adaptable, expandable storage. But you can get the 6 gigs of RAM version with 128 gigs of storage, or you can get the 8 gigs of RAM version with 256 gigs of storage, right? This particular one y'all see in the video today is the 128 variant, okay? And in terms of other hardware, we have a triple camera setup on the rear right here. Now, the primary camera is a 50 megapixel camera that can record in up to 4K at 30 FPS. It could do 1080p slow motion, and it could do 720p slow motion at up to 480 frames per second. Alright? Then we have an ultra wide camera, which is a 12 megapixel camera with a 123 degree field of view that can also record in up to 4K 30 FPS. Okay? And then we have a 5 megapixel macro camera. Alright? Then we have our flash back there. Flipping it over to the front, we do have a punch hole 32 megapixel camera that can also record in up to 4K, okay, and do 1080p 30 and 60, okay? So good stuff there when we talk about the cameras. We're going to dive a little bit more into the cameras later on into the video. Other hardware aspects include this device is IP67 waterproof. So you can drop this in up to 3 feet of water for 30 minutes and it should be good to go. Alright? Just make sure you dry it out first. Make sure the ports are dry before you start using it and you should be good to go. Alright? Other than that, we do have, as I said earlier, micro SD card expansion. So you can expand the memory. We also have dual SIM card support with eSIM support. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. This particular device does have 25 watt USB Type-C fast wired charging. We're going to dive into the charging speeds a little bit later on in the video. And it on paper has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. Now I say on paper, and I'm going to verify it for y'all later on in the video because it's marketed as 5,000, but technically it has a 4905 milliamp hour battery. So it's not exactly 5,000, it's actually 4905. But they're marketing it as a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. Okay? But it's not. Alright? Other than that, I do believe that goes over all of the hardware aspects. I almost forgot. We do have face unlock. Now I'm behind the camera, so it's not going to see my face. Okay? So we have our face unlock. And then we also have an under-display optical fingerprint sensor. Now, it's been going off because of my microfiber cleaning cloth, so we do have to wait 20 seconds to test it. See, 3, 2, 1, it's done. And I have to say, that fingerprint sensor works perfect, right? So I could double tap the screen, do it like that, or I could just put my finger down and do it like that. Now, if you do it too fast, it's not going to work. But if you know where the fingerprint is, you just put your finger down and it's going to work. And this is a under-display optical sensor, right? So it's not like the fingerprint sensors that are on the flagship, but it's still just as good, and you can see it works just as fast. And so too does the face unlock. So if I move my face from behind the camera, I'm still kind of behind the camera, but the face unlock works just as fast as well. Now it's having trouble seeing me because I'm behind the camera, but whether you're using the fingerprint sensor or the face unlock, you're not going to have any issues with this device right here. No issues whatsoever. And I do believe now that officially goes over all of the important hardware. Okay. Oh, also, my bad, I keep forgetting stuff. This does have a dual speaker setup. I'm gonna give y'all a speaker demonstration a little bit later on in the video, but we have a bottom firing speaker here, and then we have another speaker that also doubles as the receiver. So we do have a stereo speaker setup. We do also have NFC. We do also have OTG support, and we do also have Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.3. Okay, so now officially, I don't have any notes, but officially I think that goes over all of the hardware on this device right here. So now let's get into talking about the software and my overall experiences with the software and the performance. Now, in terms of the software, this device right here is running Android 13 with Samsung's One UI 5.1 Core skin on top. Alright, so what does that core skin mean? That means you have all of the Samsung features that you would want with none of the features that you don't need. Okay, so this has all of the entire Samsung experience except for 3 things, right? And what do I mean by 3 things? There is no Samsung DeX support. There is no Bluetooth audio input support. And there is no dual recording support with the cameras. So you cannot use both cameras to record videos and photos at the same time. You cannot use Bluetooth connected audio because it doesn't support that. And there is no Samsung DeX. Other than that, all your Samsung features are here. So if you're coming from a previous Samsung device, you should have no issues. Or maybe you're new to the Samsung ecosystem, you should have an overall enjoyable experience. And even though there is no Samsung DeX, you still do have Smart View and Smart Cast, so you can cast your screen to other devices and use the screencasting feature, which can be just as good as DeX depending on what you're trying to do. Alright, but those are the particular features that are missing in terms of the software. Just wanted to get that out the way up front. And we are running the latest version in terms of security patches in terms of the software as of the recording of this video, which is the end of April. I think it's April 29th or April 30th. We are running the April 1st security patch. So this device is up to date in terms of security. And it's up to date in terms of publicly available versions of Android, right? So that runs through the software. Now let me get into my overall experiences with the software on the day-to-day. Now, this is where we get into one of our first weaker points of this device. The software and day-to-day performance on this device is not the best. Now, typically, I am what you would call a heavy user. So typically, when I'm using a device, I'm using anywhere from about 6 to 13 applications regularly. I'm dual windowing. I'm bouncing in and out of applications. I'm doing a lot. I'm a heavy user. And from a software and performance standpoint, I found that the software and performance on here is just okay to good. Now, why do I say that? Because there were a variety of instances where this device force closed a lot of important applications that I needed to keep running, right? Now, that's whether it was business applications, personal applications, battery monitoring applications, it kept force closing. And more importantly, for the important applications, sometimes when I went to launch them, it force closed and it had to reload, and then I had to wait for it to reload. Or I had to force close it and reload it myself. So, the software performance on here definitely needs some improvement. Particularly the RAM management definitely needs some improvement on this device. Okay? So the software needs some optimization and the RAM management needs some improvements. Now, I can accredit that to 2 things, right? Number one, the processor. Now this, I threw it up earlier in the video. This is using the Exynos processor on here, the Exynos 1380 octa-core processor, and the Mali G68 MP5 GPU. So this is using a Samsung in-house Exynos chipset, and I do not feel like Samsung has optimized it properly. So as a result, that's why the memory management suffers. Okay? And then also, they have optimized the software to aggressively try to manage your application. So it's always aggressively trying to close what it thinks I'm not using, even after I turned off the features that force close things. Like I've turned off adaptive battery, and I've turned off the put applications to sleep when I'm not using them. All of my important applications, I turned that feature off. Even further still, I went into the battery settings, into the deep sleep settings, and I set all my important applications that I use regularly to not deep sleep. Okay? So anything that's important to me should always be running. And it doesn't. It still force closes, and that is a weak point of this device. The RAM management needs to be improved, and the overall performance of the software needs to be improved. So in terms of the software experience, I would have to say it's just okay to good in my experience. Now, in terms of the hardware and the software on the whole, I would have to say it's really good, and Samsung has put together a really good combination of hardware and software in this device right here. Basically, this is a flagship device without the flagship price. Okay? So that goes over the hardware, that goes over the software. Let's get into the Wi-Fi performance and the speaker testing. Okay? So for the Wi-Fi performance, we're going to do a little bit differently. I'm going to pull the same YouTube video back up, and we're going to scrub through that video, which I think is a live video. Okay? So that will give you an idea of how, yeah, it's a live video, and you can see it did have to refresh the live feed, but that will give you an idea of how the device handles live streaming. So it's pulling down a live video feed right now, and you can see that was relatively fast. And honestly, I've had no issues with the Wi-Fi performance. Now we do have Wi-Fi 6 AC Wi-Fi on here, and I haven't had any issues. So if we test it here, let me get back to the full screen. If we scrub back the live feed, it scrubbed back no problem. You see that's basically instant, right? If we do it again, no problem. That's basically instant, right? And if we go forward on the live feed, bring it up to real time, y'all can see that's basically instant. So the overall Wi-Fi performance on here, in my opinion, has been top notch, and I haven't had any issues with the overall Wi-Fi performance. Now, let me pull up some music that we can use to test these speakers. Now, shout out to my good friend, Two Phones. That's whose music we're going to use here today as we test these speakers. I'm going to leave links to his Sound Nation down below in the video description. If you enjoy what you hear, go ahead and go over there and check him out. I'm also going to leave links to his YouTube channel. So if you enjoy what you hear, he does have his music on his YouTube channel as well. Go ahead, check him out. Give him a sub. Give him a follow. Let him know your boy E Drummond sent y'all over there. But shout out to Two Phones for letting me feature his music. And again, this gives you an idea of the performance. You see, it did have to reload that. Even though I had it preloaded in the background, it did have to reload it. Okay? So now, let's play the music. Let me max out the volume. So let's max this volume. Let me put my microphones into place. So we're using microphones on the Samsung Galaxy Buds Plus. So let me put these into place. So there's one. And let's get the other one. And let's put it into place. And there's two. So now you guys and gals should get a really good overall microphone performance test. And let's just go ahead and push play on one of my favorite tracks. Let's use this one. Okay, hold on. So that was with Adobe off. Now this device does support Adobe Atmos audio. So I wanted y'all to hear what the stereo speaker sounds like with Adobe off. Now let's go ahead and turn Adobe on. Alright, and I'm going to let y'all hear what it sounds like. So now this is what the speakers sound like at their absolute best when you're using a combination of hardware and software. And let me play that again. Check this out. Let's let the beat drop on there. I'm going to let it play till the beat drop. Okay, that's good. Alright, so that gives you guys and gals a real quick overall Wi-Fi performance test, and that gives you guys and gals a real quick overall speaker test as well. Alright, so as I said, the Wi-Fi performance is top notch, and in my opinion, I feel as though the speakers on this device are really good. Really good indeed. Let me put the mics back in my ears so I don't have to yell and I can talk at my normal cadence. So let's put these mics back. That's one. And let's get number two here. Alright, that's number two. Now, let's carry on with this video. So the Wi-Fi performance is top notch in my overall opinion. The speaker performance is really good. Now, this is a typical stereo setup with the one front firing and one bottom firing. So I am not a fan of the placement. I would have liked to see two dual front firing speakers, but it is really good overall. It is lacking a little bit in the bass department, but in terms of the loudness and the clarity and sharpness, it is really good. And there is no distortion at max volume. So it's really just lacking in the bass department. The winner in speakers, in my opinion, to this day, is still going to Motorola, in particular the G Power series. Still have some of the best speakers I've ever heard on the device. Alright? But the overall speakers on this are really good. And I am not a fan of the placement, but it is what it is. Okay? So now, let's get into talking about the overall bands supported on this device. Let's go. And let me go ahead and put it up for you guys. Now, just so we're clear, I actually use Verizon via Straight Talk, and I also use AT&T via Free Up Mobile. I primarily tested this device on AT&T via Free Up Mobile, and I had no issues. So, if you're in the States and you're using, this is supposed to be globally unlocked, but if you're using GSM carriers, you shouldn't have any issues. I didn't test my Verizon SIM, but my GSM SIM worked without issues, but this is a globally unlocked device. Okay? Let me pull up the bands so you guys and gals know exactly what the bands are supposed to be here. And you can see it did have to refresh the bands again. So this just further confirms what I was telling you guys. The memory management on here definitely needs some improvement, okay? Because I had that preloaded and it did have to reload it. But as long as your carrier supports these bands, you should be good to go. And again, on AT&T via Free Up Mobile, I haven't had any issues, okay? I haven't had any issues whatsoever. But as long as your carrier supports these bands, you should be good to go, okay? And then let me just show y'all again, just because I know certain people, they like to see this, because you know sometimes they don't believe me. So we're going to turn off the Wi-Fi. Okay, you see the LTE kicked in, so now we're on LTE on AT&T. All right, and then I'm going to pull back up my good friend's music here. So we're going to pull that back up, and now it's playing over LTE. No issues. No issues whatsoever. Alright? So LTE is working. And then further still, let me pull back up the YouTube video, just so y'all know. Okay, let me turn the music down. Don't want no copyright. And then we'll restart the live feed. And now it's running over LTE. And you can see, no problems. Had to load up the live feed, and then no problems. All running over LTE. Y'all can see it right there. Now, I don't have a 5G SIM. Okay? Honestly, 5G is not there yet. So my 4G LTE SIM on AT&T and my 4G LTE SIM on Verizon, which I haven't tested in this device, but technically it should work, I haven't had any issues. So in terms of the LTE or the band supported, you shouldn't have any problems. And again, as long as your carrier supports those bands that I showed you guys and gals earlier, you should be good to go. Alright? And in particular, this is the U1 variant of the device. Okay? Okay. So that goes over LTE. That goes over the supported bands. Let's move on with this video. Up next now, let's talk about the overall Bluetooth performance. And this is another area where this device, let me turn my Wi-Fi back on so I'm not eating up my data, did a great job. Now again, this device has Bluetooth 5.3 on board, and I didn't have any issues with the overall Bluetooth. Let me show y'all here. These are just some of the Bluetooth accessories that I hooked up to the device. And again, I didn't have any issues. And the seamlessness, if you use Samsung products, the seamlessness of transferring between Samsung products is beautiful. But in terms of the Bluetooth performance, it was top notch, and I didn't have any issues. Okay? Top notch indeed. Now moving on, let's talk about the GPS performance. And as a tech handyman, the GPS is something that I use regularly on a daily basis. And I gotta say, anything that took advantage of the GPS, I didn't have any issues with. So turn-by-turn navigation, geocaching, geotagging, didn't have any issues. So the GPS performance on here is top-notch in my overall opinion. Top-notch indeed. Okay? Now, up next, let's talk about the call quality and the speaker call quality on this device. Now, I got to keep it straight 100 with y'all. In terms of the call quality through the onboard receiver, I didn't really take too many receiver phone calls. A lot of what I did was over Bluetooth with connected Bluetooth earbuds or with the built-in speaker on the device. So I didn't take too many receiver phone calls, so I can't talk on my experiences with that. But talking about my experiences with the speaker phone calls, it was top notch. Everything came through loud, crisp, and clear, and I didn't have any issues. And talking about my experience with the Bluetooth phone calls, it was phenomenal. Especially because I used my Galaxy Buds primarily with these. Didn't have any issues. Okay? So call quality and speaker call quality, in my opinion, with my experience, was top notch. Didn't have any issues there. Up next now, let's talk about my overall experiences with the cameras. And if you would like to see more on the cameras, I have done a full dedicated camera review, including a full camera walkthrough and all of the photo and video samples. I'll link up my coverage on that down below in the video description. And if I remember, I'll throw up a card. But here in the full review, I'm just going to share my overall experiences and how I feel about the cameras. Now, in regards to the cameras, again, we got a triple camera setup, 50 megapixels, 12 megapixels, 5 megapixels. Now, primarily, I didn't use this, okay? I don't take macro shots. I primarily use the primary and the ultra-wide cameras, or the front-facing cameras. And typically, when I judge cameras, I'm judging them from a point-and-shoot aspect. So I judge the cameras on point-and-shoot photo performance, point-and-shoot overall video capture capabilities, and point-and-shoot overall audio capture capabilities. Okay? That is how I judge the cameras. And in all three of these aspects, I have to say this device did a great job. Now, don't get it twisted, y'all. I was using this device alongside my iPhone, okay? And I was using this device alongside my Pixel, which is right here. So, while I was reviewing this device, it was going up against some extremely heavy hitters in this category, okay? And honestly, we're going to talk about it a little bit later on in the video. This particular device is priced to compete with these two devices right here, okay? So I thought, why not use it alongside the two devices that it's priced to compete against? And again, as I said, in terms of photo performance, it did a great job. In terms of video performance, it did a great job. And in terms of overall audio capture capabilities, it did a great job. Now, the audio capture capability part was extremely important because there's no 3.5 millimeter headphone jack and there's no integrated Bluetooth audio support. So if you're using this device, you're stuck using the microphones that come on the device. So the overall audio capture capabilities have to be really good. And in my experience across the board, when we talk about the cameras on this device, it was really good. Okay? Now, was it as good as the camera performance on my iPhone? Oh, it was close. They're about on par. Was it as good as the camera performance on my Pixel? Again, it was good. They're about on par. Was the video performance as good as the video performance on my iPhone? It was close, but I have to say no. Was the video performance as good as the video performance on my Pixel? Yes, it beat out the Pixel in terms of video performance. Okay? So overall, in terms of the cameras, I have to say Samsung has done a really great job with the cameras on this device, in my opinion. Alright? Really great job indeed. Let me take these two bad boys out of here. Alright, and let's carry on with the rest of the review. Let's go. So that is my overall experience with the cameras. And if you're picking up this device and you're a camera-centric person, you should have an overall enjoyable experience. Remember, it maxes out at 4K. You have your slow motion, and you got really good cameras on the rear and really good cameras on the front. And again, check out my full camera review. I'll link it up down below in the video description if you want to see all the photo and video samples that I've taken with this device. But overall, the cameras on this device are really good. Really good indeed. Now, moving on, let's talk about my overall experience gaming on this device. Now, once again, I've done a separate dedicated gaming video. And just so we're clear, I am not a gamer, but I did test my two favorite games on this device. One being Asphalt 9 and the other being Call of Duty Mobile, and this device handled them with ease. Okay? It did get a little warm on the back of the device, but the performance never dipped. Okay? So the overall gaming performance on this device was top-notch in my opinion. Top-notch indeed. Okay? Up next now, let's talk about some more important categories. Let's get into talking about the overall charge times and the overall battery life on this device. Alright? Again, talking about the battery life first, this device has a 4905 milliamp hour battery on board, and I'll throw up my screenshots and charging stats in post so y'all know exactly what I got on this one. And in terms of the battery, I have to say the battery on here is really good. Not quite top notch, because with my style of heavy use, I was making it to the end of the day, which is about 10 o'clock for me, 10 o'clock at night. And it usually comes off the charger at about 5 o'clock, between 5 and 7 o'clock in the morning, depending on when I get up. So I was making it to the end of the day with about 10 to 5% left with my style of heavy usage. And I was getting anywhere between 7 to about 11 hours of screen on time, again, with my style of heavy usage. Now, why is this really good battery life? Why is this not top-notch battery life? Because I was testing this alongside devices, again, that are better optimized with the software and the hardware. Even though they have smaller batteries than this, they get consistently better battery life than this. Like, typically, with heavy usage, I end the day on my iPhone at about between 10 and 20%, and I can get anywhere from about 9 hours to 11 hours of screen on time. Okay? Typically, on my Pixel, same thing. And I can get anywhere between 10 and maybe 13 hours of screen on time. Right? So, testing this device alongside these two, that means that this device has really good battery life. Not top notch like these other two, but really good. And that comes down to the software and hardware optimization. That's why I said Samsung needs to optimize their devices a little bit better, especially for their in-house processors. All right? You have a device that's completely constructed in-house, it better run and perform flawlessly. Again, both of these devices, built and constructed in-house, flawless performance, flawless battery life. This, not so much. So Samsung, you definitely have some more optimizations to do in terms of the overall battery life, but it is really good overall battery life in my opinion. Same thing can be said for the overall charge times. Now, this particular device, as I said earlier, supports 25 watt fast USB Type-C wired charging. But, and I'm going to make a video on this a little bit later on, you do not get the fast charging brick in the box. You don't get the fast charging brick in the box with any of these. You don't get the fast charging cable in the box. You don't get the fast charging cable in the box with any of these. So you will have to go out, if you want the fastest charging, you will have to go out and get yourself some fast charging cables. Okay? And you will have to go out and get yourself a fast charging brick. Okay? To get the fastest possible charging out of this device. And I have fast chargers, whether it be wired or wireless, all throughout my home. So anytime that I plugged in this device, I was getting the absolute fastest charging possible. And I will have to say the charging on this device is really good. It can charge up, depending on the percentage you want it to hit, it can charge up between 45 minutes and an hour and a half. So this particular device takes at most an hour and a half to reach a full charge. Alright? But if you're not charging to full, then you can possibly get to your designated charge point in about 45 minutes. Okay? So the overall charging on this device, in my opinion, is really good. Really good indeed. Okay? And the overall battery life on this device, in my opinion, is really good as well. Is it the best it can be? No. But for what it is, it's really good. Okay? Really good indeed. And again, check out my charging stats. Check out my battery stats that I will have thrown up in post. And keep in mind, this video, as with all of my content, is just based on my opinions and my overall experiences. Your guys and gals' opinions and experiences may vary. And everybody is entitled to their own opinions as well. Okay? So it just is what it is. This is just what I've experienced. All right. So that goes over the charge times. That goes over the battery life. Let's get into the final part of this video. Let's talk pricing. Let's talk overall availability. Let me get into my final thoughts and let me make an overall recommendation. Now, in the interest of full disclosure and keeping it 100, I do have to let everyone know this. This particular device came into the channel completely free of charge, thanks in large part to the Amazon Vine program. So what does that mean? All I have to do is write up and publish my full review on Amazon based on my overall experiences with the device, and then the device is mine to keep. Okay? But that in no way, shape, form, or fashion influences my overall opinions on the device. Alright? As always, I reserve the right to keep it straight 100 around here and give my honest opinions around here. But this device did come in free of charge to the channel, thanks in large part to the Amazon Vine program. That being said, I did do my due diligence and scour the internet, and I found this device ranging in price from the least I found was $360, and the most I found was $450 to $500. Okay? Now keep in mind, this is the 6 gig, 128 gig variant. Alright? If you want the 256, that's going to cost you $50 more. Alright? So on the low end, that 360, okay, add $50. So that turns into $410. On the high end, okay, that's $500. Okay? So $450, add $50, turns into $500. $360, add $50, turns into $410. Alright? Now, at that price, that puts it in direct competition with these devices right here. That's dead competition, dead direct competition with these devices right here. Okay? Why do I say that? Because you can pick up this device, depending on storage, you can get it for what, $280 to at most $400. Okay? And this device, you can get it for what, $300 to $350. So direct competition with this device right here. Direct competition. So that being said, can I recommend that you guys and gals go out there and pick up this device? If you're in the market for a new device, right? Can I recommend that you guys and gals go out there and pick it up? Well, I'm going to have to say yes. It really just depends, right? Although all three of these devices are in the same price point, it really just depends on what you want out of your device and how much you're willing to spend. Alright? Because as I said, all three of these devices, in my opinion, are basically on par with each other. So it really just depends. Do you want a stock Android experience? Do you want the Samsung Android experience? Or do you want an iOS experience? Either device you go with, you're going to get really good cameras, you're going to get really good battery life, you're going to get really good charge times, you're going to get a really good overall experience, in my opinion. And that being said, can I recommend you guys and gals go out there and pick up this device? I'm going to have to say yes. Can I, however, recommend that you guys and gals go out there and pick up this device brand new at that $450 to $500 price point? No. No. And case in point, alright? This device has been out, what, a month? As of the recording of this video, it's been out a month. And it's already getting discounted to $360 and $400. So not even Samsung was okay with keeping the device at that $450 to $500 price point. Alright? So at that $450 to $500 price point, can I recommend you guys and gals pick it up? No. But $360 to $410? Yes. Okay? If you pay Over 450, honestly, I feel like you paid too much. But 360 to 410, yes. All right? Yes, indeed. All right, everyone. So that pretty much does it for this review here today. As always, I hope you guys and gals enjoyed this review, and I hope you guys and gals found it helpful. If you did, please help your boy out by giving the video a thumbs up. That really does help me out. You don't know how much. Also, if you guys and gals would like to see more content like this, please feel free to hit that subscribe button down below. And make sure you click off the notification bell icon right next to it so you guys and gals get notified when I publish new videos. This whole video here today was recorded using the rear-facing primary camera on the Samsung Galaxy S20 5G, and all of the audio for the video here today was recorded using the Samsung Galaxy Buds Plus. So please let me know what you think of the overall video quality, as well as what you think of the overall audio quality down below. As always, all your feedback is greatly appreciated, and just remember to keep it respectful, please. As always, if this video piqued your interest and you would like to know where you can pick up the featured device featured in the video, along with any and all recommended cases or other accessories, all the links to that stuff will be available down below in the video description, along with all of my extended coverage on the device. And down below in the video description will contain affiliated links, meaning that when you guys and gals use those links, I do get a small percentage of kickback that I do put back into the channel, but that's at no additional cost to you guys and gals. So those affiliated links are like a win-win for everyone, in my opinion. And as I said, if this video piqued your interest, down below in the video description will be like a one-stop shop for you guys and gals, and you should be good to go. Alright? That being said, I hope everyone is having a great day. I hope you guys and gals are staying safe out there, and I will catch everyone in the next one. Have a good one, everybody. We are out of here. Peace. Alright. You know, this is a great device, but am I going to keep it? No. Do I know who this device would be perfect for? Oh yes. I think they're going to enjoy this surprise when I give it to them. I know exactly who I'm going to give this device to. This will be perfect for them. They don't really watch my content, so it really is going to be a surprise for them when I give it to them. Especially with all the cases and accessories. Oh yeah. Am I going to keep it? No. But is it a great device? Oh yeah. And I think they're going to be happy with it when I give it to them. Alright, everybody. Have a good one. I'll catch y'all in the next one. We're out of here. Peace.